My mother-in-law destroyed what was supposed to be the happiest day of my pregnancy, and I'm still processing the absolute chaos that followed. I thought I knew crazy until I met my husband's mother. Let me call her Linda for this story, though that's obviously not her real name. When I first started dating my husband 3 years ago, Linda seemed like the perfect future mother-in-law. She was sweet, welcoming, and always insisted I call her Mom. Red flag number 1 that I completely missed. Everything changed the moment we announced our pregnancy. It was like a switch flipped in her brain. Suddenly, every conversation became about how I wasn't good enough for her precious son, how I was trapping him with a baby, and how she knew this relationship wouldn't last. But she said it all with that fake smile that made my skin crawl. When I decided to throw a baby shower, I was genuinely excited. This was my first baby, and I wanted everything to be perfect. I spent weeks planning every detail: the decorations, the menu, the games, even custom favors for each guest. I sent out invitations 2 months in advance and coordinated with everyone's schedules. My sister offered to co-host, and even my own mother flew in from across the country to help. Linda insisted on being involved from day one. She kept asking about the guest list, the venue, the decorations, everything. At first, I thought she was just being helpful. I even gave her a few small tasks to make her feel included, like picking up the balloons and helping with some of the food prep. The first sign something was wrong came a week before the shower. I started getting texts from some of my friends saying they couldn't make it anymore due to family emergencies or sudden work conflicts. By the day before the shower, 12 people had canceled. 12 out of 35 invited guests. I was devastated but tried to stay positive. The people who mattered most would still be there, right? Wrong. The morning of the shower, I arrived at the venue early to set up. The community center where we'd booked the event looked perfect, exactly how I'd envisioned it. I had spent the previous evening preparing all the decorations, arranging the photo backdrop, and organizing the gift table. Everything was pristine and ready. When Linda arrived with the balloons, my heart sank. Instead of the soft pink and gold balloons I'd specifically requested to match my theme, she brought bright blue and green ones. Not just a few, we're talking dozens of balloons in completely wrong colors. "Oh honey," she said with that fake innocent voice, "the store was out of pink, so I got these instead. They're so much prettier, don't you think?" I knew she was lying. There were 3 party stores within 10 minutes of her house, and pink balloons aren't exactly a rare commodity. But I didn't want to cause drama on my special day, so I just smiled and said thank you. Things got worse from there. The cake I'd ordered specifically, a beautiful 3-tier pink and gold creation with "Welcome Baby" written in elegant script, arrived completely wrong. It was a basic sheet cake with blue frosting and "Congratulations Graduate" written in messy handwriting. The bakery was profusely apologetic and confused. They insisted someone had called the day before claiming to be me and changed the entire order. They even had documentation of the phone call. When I asked them to describe the voice, they said it was an older woman who claimed to be the grandmother and said there had been a family emergency requiring the change. I immediately knew it was Linda. When I confronted her, she gasped dramatically and put her hand to her chest like she was having heart palpitations. How could you even think I would do such a thing? I'm devastated that you would accuse me of sabotaging my own grandchild's celebration. Maybe you're just stressed from the pregnancy hormones, sweetie. The gaslighting was unreal, but I had to hold it together because guests were starting to arrive. Except they weren't really arriving. Despite having 23 people confirm their attendance after the initial wave of cancellations, only 8 people showed up. 8! Including my own mother and sister. My best friend Sarah pulled me aside during the gift opening and whispered that she'd heard from multiple people that Linda had been calling guests individually, telling them the shower was canceled due to family drama and that I was too emotional to handle having people over right now. I felt like I was going to throw up. This woman had systematically destroyed my entire baby shower, and she was sitting there pretending to be the perfect grandmother to be, cooing over baby gifts and taking selfies to post on her social media. But the absolute worst part, the part that still makes my blood boil months later, was what happened during the gift opening. I had specifically registered for a high-end baby monitor system. It was expensive, but my husband and I had saved up for it because safety was our top priority. My mother had secretly coordinated with several family members to pool money together to buy it as their collective gift. When I opened the box, instead of the monitor system, there was a cheap plastic baby mobile that played tinny lullabies and looked like it came from a dollar store. My mother's face went white. She immediately started apologizing, saying that wasn't what they had purchased at all. Linda piped up from across the room, "Oh, I helped coordinate that gift. The store said they were having supply issues with the monitor, so I picked out this beautiful mobile instead. Babies love music, don't they?" My mother was mortified. She pulled out her phone and showed me the receipt. They had definitely purchased the expensive monitor system. Linda had somehow intercepted their gift and replaced it with garbage. At this point, I was done pretending everything was fine. I stood up in front of everyone and said, "Linda, I need to speak with you privately." Now, she followed me outside, still maintaining that innocent act. "What's wrong, sweetie? You seem upset." "Cut the act," I said. "I know you called my guests and told them the shower was canceled. I know you changed my cake order. I know you replaced my mother's gift. What I want to know is why." Her mask finally slipped. The fake sweetness disappeared, and I saw the real Linda for the first time. Her face twisted into something ugly and mean. "Because you don't deserve my son," she hissed. "You trapped him with this pregnancy, and now you're trying to take him away from his family. This baby shower was just another attention-seeking stunt, and I wasn't going to let you get away with it." I was so shocked I couldn't even respond immediately. This woman had spent months pretending to love me while secretly plotting to destroy one of the most important days of my pregnancy. "You're sick," I finally managed to say. "You need help." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Good luck proving any of this, sweetheart. It's your word against mine, and everyone knows pregnant women can be a little unstable." That's when I realized Linda had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. Every question about the shower details, every offer to help, she'd been gathering intelligence to sabotage everything more effectively. But Linda made one crucial mistake. She underestimated me. See, I work in digital marketing, and I'm pretty tech-savvy. After our confrontation, I went home and did some digging. I started with the bakery incident, calling them back and asking if they could provide me with the phone number used to change my order. They were hesitant at first, but when I explained the situation, the manager agreed to help. The number was Linda's. I had proof. Next, I reached out to some of the guests who had canceled. I explained what had happened and asked them to check their call logs. 3 of them still had Linda's number in their recent calls list, and 2 of them had screenshots of the text messages she'd sent claiming to be me. But the smoking gun came from my own mother. She had contacted the store where they'd purchased my gift to inquire about the return policy. The customer service representative told her that someone matching Linda's description had come in with the receipt, claimed to be my mother, and exchanged the monitor for the cheap Mobile Plus cashback. The store had security cameras. I spent the next week gathering evidence. Screenshots, phone records, witness statements, security footage, everything. I built a case that would make a prosecutor jealous. Then I did something that probably makes me petty, but I don't care. I created a group chat with my husband, his father, his 2 brothers, and Linda. I called it Family Truth Time. In this group chat, I laid out everything. Every piece of evidence, every lie, every act of sabotage. I included photos of the fake cake, screenshots of the text messages, statements from the bakery and party store employees, and even the security footage the store had provided me. The silence in that group chat was deafening. My father-in-law was the first to respond. "Linda, what the hell is wrong with you?" My husband was devastated. He had no idea his mother was capable of something like this. His brothers were equally shocked and disgusted. But Linda? Linda tried to double down. She claimed I had fabricated everything, that I was trying to turn the family against her, that this was all part of my plan to isolate her son. Except I had evidence. Undeniable, concrete proof of every single thing she had done. My husband finally found his voice and told his mother that she needed professional help and that she wouldn't be welcome in our home or around our baby until she got it. Linda lost her mind. She started calling me every name in the book, screaming about how I was destroying her family and ruining her relationship with her son. She threatened to call Child Protective Services when the baby was born, claiming I was mentally unstable and unfit to be a mother. That's when my husband really stepped up. He told his mother that if she ever contacted me again or made any threats regarding our child, he would file for a restraining order and she would never meet her grandchild. The family group chat exploded. Linda's behavior had opened floodgates, and suddenly everyone was sharing stories about her manipulation and lies over the years. Apparently, I wasn't her first victim. She had driven away previous girlfriends, caused drama at family events, and had a history of playing victim while secretly orchestrating chaos. My father-in-law was so embarrassed and angry that he actually called me personally to apologize. He said he'd suspected his wife had issues, but never realized the extent of her behavior. He promised to get her into therapy and said he completely supported our decision to cut contact. But Linda wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started. 2 weeks after the group chat incident, she showed up at my workplace. She somehow found out where I worked and came to my office, demanding to speak with me about resolving our family issues. My boss, thankfully, is amazing. When I explained the situation, she immediately called security and had Linda escorted from the building. We also filed a report with HR and put additional security measures in place. Linda then tried a different approach. She started calling my own mother, crying and claiming that I was having a mental breakdown and needed intervention. She said I was making up stories about her and that she was worried about the baby's safety. My mother, bless her heart, listened politely for about 5 minutes before cutting Linda off. I was at the baby shower. I saw what you did. Don't ever call me again. The harassment continued for weeks. Linda would drive by our house slowly, park outside for hours, leave passive-aggressive notes on our car, and even tried to befriend our neighbors to get information about our daily routines. My husband was beside himself. This was his mother, the woman who raised him, and he was watching her reveal herself to be someone completely different than who he thought she was. The guilt was eating him alive. Finally, we had enough. We consulted with a lawyer and filed for a restraining order. The evidence we had gathered for the baby shower sabotage, combined with documentation of her recent stalking behavior, was more than enough for the court. The restraining order was granted immediately. Linda violated it within 48 hours. She showed up at our house at midnight, pounding on the door and screaming that she just wanted to see her son. The neighbors called the police, and she was arrested for violating a protective order. That arrest seemed to wake something up in my father-in-law. He finally saw his wife for who she really was and filed for separation the next week. Apparently, the baby shower incident was just the tip of the iceberg, and he'd been living with her manipulation and abuse for decades. My husband's brothers also cut contact with their mother. The entire family essentially imploded because Linda couldn't handle the fact that her son was starting his own family. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. About a month after Linda's arrest, my father-in-law called with disturbing news. While going through Linda's belongings during their separation, he found a box hidden in their bedroom closet. Inside were dozens of printed emails, photos, and documents, all related to me and my husband. Linda had been stalking us for over 2 years, since before we even got engaged. She had somehow gained access to my social media accounts and had been screenshotting private conversations, photos, and posts. She had printed out my work schedule from my company's website, kept track of my doctor's appointments by following me, and had even contacted my ex-boyfriends trying to dig up dirt on me. The box also contained a detailed journal where Linda documented her plans to break up our relationship. She had tried to sabotage our engagement by telling my husband's friends that I was cheating on him. She had called my employer multiple times over the past year, claiming to be a concerned citizen reporting my unprofessional behavior online. Most disturbing of all, she had been planning the baby shower sabotage for months. Her journal contained detailed notes about each guest, their contact information, and specific strategies for convincing them not to attend. The level of premeditation was terrifying. This wasn't just a mother-in-law who didn't like me. This was someone with serious psychological issues who had been systematically trying to destroy my life for years. My father-in-law immediately turned everything over to the police. The stalking charges were upgraded to felony level due to the duration and scope of her behavior. Linda was arrested again, and this time she didn't make bail. During her psychological evaluation, she was diagnosed with several personality disorders and was deemed to need intensive treatment. The court ordered her to undergo psychiatric treatment and extended our restraining order indefinitely. My husband was completely broken by all of this. He kept apologizing, saying he should have seen the signs and protected me better. But honestly, how could he have known? Linda had been manipulating and lying to everyone for years. She was good at it. The baby shower that was supposed to be a celebration of new life had turned into the catalyst that exposed years of abuse and manipulation. In a weird way, I'm almost grateful it happened. If Linda hadn't been so bold with her sabotage, we might never have discovered the extent of her stalking and could have been dealing with her escalating behavior after our baby was born. Our daughter was born 3 months later, healthy, beautiful, and completely protected from Linda's toxic influence. My father-in-law visits regularly and has become an amazing grandfather. He's also in therapy, working through his own trauma from years of psychological abuse. My husband's brothers have been incredibly supportive throughout this entire ordeal. They've apologized repeatedly for not recognizing their mother's behavior sooner and have been wonderful uncles to our daughter. As for Linda, she's still in a psychiatric facility. She's made several attempts to contact us through third parties, but our lawyer handles all of that now. The restraining order remains in place, and she's legally prohibited from having any contact with us or our daughter. The most surreal part of this whole experience has been the aftermath. Other family members and even some of Linda's friends have come forward with their own stories about her manipulative behavior over the years. Apparently, she had been emotionally abusing people in her life for decades, but everyone thought they were the only victim. My husband now jokes darkly that the baby shower was like pulling a thread that unraveled an entire tapestry of lies and manipulation. What started as one day of sabotage revealed years of psychological abuse that had been hiding in plain sight. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I hadn't gathered all that evidence, if I hadn't called Linda out publicly in that family group chat. Would she have continued escalating? Would our daughter have been safe? The scariest part is knowing that Linda's behavior wasn't impulsive or emotional. It was calculated and methodical. She spent years planning ways to hurt me, and the baby shower was just her most public and dramatic attempt. But you know what? I'm stronger now than I ever thought possible. Going through this experience taught me to trust my instincts, stand up for myself, and not let anyone gaslight me into thinking I'm overreacting. Our little family is thriving now. Our daughter is almost 6 months old and brings us so much joy every day. My husband has healed from the trauma of discovering who his mother really was, and we've built an incredible support system with the family members who stood by us. Sometimes I think about what I would tell other people dealing with toxic in-laws or family members. Document everything. Trust your gut when something feels wrong. Don't let people convince you that you're overreacting or being dramatic. And most importantly, protect your peace and your family at all costs. The baby shower Linda destroyed was supposed to be about celebrating new beginnings. In the end, that's exactly what it became, just not in the way any of us expected.